Earthlings, and welcome to your weekly dose of newsy infotainment. I'm knocking things down. It's Let's Be Treasonable, coming to you from the luxurious studios of Radio Titans in Los Angeles with your cognitive dissidents on the panel this week. Coming from St. Louis, Mr. Jim Coughlin.
Hello.
Oh, hello, Jim. And coming to us from various spots on the East Coast and currently the West Side, Erika Schickel.
Well, hello, everybody.
And via East St. Louis and Colorado, currently residing in the Valley and currently in the hallway. Joining us shortly, Mr. Tymon Shipp, the black voice of reason.
Hello.
Hello. Power to the people.
There you go. That's all right. It is America in Crisis Day 135. And miraculously, we are still standing. We are still here in the Let's Be Treasonable. Very happy to be able to do that. America still stands for now.
The moment, although being here in the studio is no indication of America's soundness.
This is true. We are in a bubble.
I think Trump is, he's working as fast as he can.
Mm-hmm. Let's give him some time. He's new at this.
What the hell is up with that?
We can. It's just a learning curve. We haven't even. Yeah. Well, let's title the segment. Are we talking about Comey yet?
Yeah, we'll get into that in a minute. But first, let's check in with what's happening with our pal Will Durst. Hey, Will.
Hey, guys. Will Durst here with a few choice words about James Comey's testimony in front of the Senate Intelligence Committee, which, no, is not an oxymoron. Just sounds like one. To say the reaction has been mixed is like intimating that pillowcases full of live eels might not be conducive to long naps. Liberals claim that Comey proved that President Donald Trump obstructed justice and envisioned an impeachment trial right around the corner. While conservatives maintain the former FBI director's testimony revealed he leaked important documents and his criminal trial is imminent. And oh yeah, where's the investigation on Hillary Clinton's emails? It all boils down to whether you believe Comey's story that the president hoped he could make the Michael Flynn investigation go away. Comey says he did. President says he didn't. One major element in this he said misadventure is a credibility gap the Louisiana Purchase. The ambitious Jimmy Stewart Boy Scout versus the bombastic make-stuff-up-as-he-goes-along real estate developer. Comey said he told Attorney General Jefferson Beauregard Sessions III that he didn't want to be in the same room alone with President Trump, and not because the president was eyeing him salaciously and popping Tic Tacs at the time. The big defense Republicans are rolling out is that the president is new at this sort of thing and doesn't know what he's doing. He isn't housebroken, still got his training wheels on, only had a couple of at-bats at presidential spring training. Problem is, he's 5 months in as leader of the free world and hasn't picked up this protocol stuff, what you might call quickly. Who's surprised? The guy is 70 years old. Not sure his learning curve has many more bendy parts left. Can't teach an old dog new tricks. Hell, we can't even get this old dog to face forward and sit semi-erect. For Let's Be Treasonable, I'm Will Durst.
Thank you very much, Will.
Yeah.
Wow, I really don't want to think about the president sitting erect. That's
please
just
no.
disturbing.
God, please no.
A small disturbance, but disturbing nonetheless. So much to talk about with the Comey testimony, but let's first address the issue that we were talking about that Will mentioned. He's new at this.
Well,
how low is the bar? I mean, the bar has been lowered so much, limbo is impossible in this country.
Yeah.
he told us that he knows more than anybody about everything.
Yep.
So he has zero excuse. But we're seeing, I'm realizing how much more white privilege there is. Because basically the man is the beneficiary of this privilege that says, oh, no, he's allowed to contradict himself. He's allowed to say things that aren't true. He's allowed to come out and lie to your fucking face, and you better fucking accept it. And then he's allowed to be incompetent about things that, I'm only nominally aware of things, but I know certain things that, day one as president, I would not be telling the FBI director what to do, that there are. These are well-known. These are not government secrets. These are not things you only know if you're on the inside.
Yeah.
It's common sense.
Yes. And so fuck him.
You don't
Fuck
ask
Paul
Jeff
Ryan.
Sessions to leave the room.
Yeah.
You
Well,
know?
unless-
Although I understand the temptation to do so.
Well,
Yes.
yeah, of course, but that's not his temptation.
You
know.
invited him in.
Sorry,
Yeah.
no crackers here. No, but
He set it up. He set himself up for that. I mean, again, we keep coming back on this show and every other show. Like, is it malfeasance or is it incompetence? And I think in this situation, it's sort of a perfect balance of the two, of idiocy meeting, malintent.
And here's what you're supposed to do. When you don't know shit, you listen to people who do know shit.
That's
but
right.
he thinks he knows
doesn't-
everything,
yeah.
so he doesn't listen to his own people. He contradicts his own people who are out there defending him. So it's going to be like this apparently till the end of time.
Yeah, it's that lack of intellectual curiosity.
Yeah.
That the
Yeah.
idea you can't learn more if you think you already know
Yes,
everything.
yes.
And Trump is the primo example of being born on third base and thinking you hit a triple.
Yeah.
Right. It's true.
Yeah. I mean, hey, he tells the Israelis, I was just in the Middle East.
Yeah.
How fucking stupid is
Oh
this
my
guy?
God, it's shocking.
And it's just, more of the same. Yes.
But it's also creepy, and I think it's interesting, this week that the Cosby trials are started beginning, and we have these two sort of strangely parallel situations that was brilliantly pointed out by Nell Scovell in W. What happened in that room is very familiar to women, everywhere, where a man in power...
Are you talking about Cosby and
well,
any
I'm
of
talking
the 50
about
some odd women, or
I'm talking about
Trump and
predatory
Comey?
situations, which is what Comey was in with Trump,
Yeah.
right? Where and what's hilarious and sort of wonderful about it is, he's James Comey, director of the FBI. He's 6'9", I mean, he's a giant and relatively powerful guy. And yet there he is alone with the president, and he became tongue-tied. He didn't have the presence of mind to say, sir, I am not comfortable with this conversation. I'm going to leave now. I like how the people questioning him, Republicans, were saying, well, why didn't you say something at the time? And, I think this is really shining a light on, what happens in these situations where, you just got to go gather your thoughts and tell a friend.
Well, and which is what he did.
Yeah.
He went and he wrote memos, and
Yeah.
rather than friends, he brought the information to coworkers. But that was one thing I found interesting during the testimony when the Republicans on the panel were asking, well, why didn't you tell him
Yeah.
that this is wrong? In terms of political purposes, I'm glad he didn't. But I was really waiting for Comey to say, look, I at the time was the director of the FBI. Under the auspices of that position, nowhere in the job description is tell the fucking president how to do his goddamn job right.
Right.
Yeah.
So that was one thing. And Comey being who he is, I mean, let's admit it. He is a grown man who can wear a necktie and presumably tie it himself, but still uses the word "lordy" as an exclamation.
Oh my God.
As straight laced as you get. Yeah.
He's a Boy Scout. He's a Boy Scout.
All the way. All the way.
Yeah. Which is an interesting thing to see in this time and in this context. I mean, isn't there something just delightfully refreshing about him? And I know we were all hating on him last fall, but to see him all sort of like fresh-faced, other than the like Samsonite luggage under his eyes, But otherwise, relatively fresh-faced and full of what appears to be my lord integrity. You know.
Well, they were waiting. They had
What
been
a
waiting
thing.
for him to speak. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but people were waiting.
Oh God,
They've
yeah.
been waiting. They said, "Whoa, man, Comey." It's like a fight was coming. Like Ali was coming to fight. It's like,
Well,
hey, man.
in
You know,
the political
this-
sense,
Yeah, and he was
Right.
up front. I watched him. I just got off work in the morning, and here he comes. He's walking down the way. Here comes Comey. Here comes Comey. And then he sits down, and they went through all the formalities and all these great things. And I'm sitting there going, wow.
I got to ask, as the black voice of reason, one of my other observations watching the testimony, am I wrong to say that Comey should have entered the chamber to the theme from Shaft? How awesome would that have
Oh
been?
my God. Yeah. Really.
I mean, yeah. I mean, it was good to see him, and the questions, the way he answered the questions. Everyone says, well, because even as a Republican, you're trying to, nitpick on how he did things. You're trying to find this, and it's
They're
like
looking for a toehold. Yeah.
But he gave for what he was sitting in front of. Like you said, you can't tell the president, hey man, you know what, you probably shouldn't be doing that.
Well, and I think especially this president,
Right.
Yeah.
who, for Trump, as we've seen and has long been rumored, dissent is deadly for your career anyway.
Well, also,
Or at least
what
your
you
current
have
job, maybe
is
not
the
your
sort
career.
of oil and water situation where you have, Comey is whatever. He's a bureaucrat. He's a government man, and he's dealing with a mobster. I mean, everything that happened in that situation be taken from, any Martin Scorsese film. Do I have your loyalty? I just want to make sure. Hey, clapping him on the back.
You wanna keep your job, Mr. Comey?
He didn't say that.
Yeah.
Yeah, Trump says he didn't.
Oh,
say
you
that.
liking your job? Would you like to keep that job? I mean, it's such.
I'm going to do you this favor. Someday.
Yeah, someday
I'm
you're
gonna
gonna
ask
thank me.
you to do a favor for me. Maybe. I will
Exactly.
not.
But that's got to be very disorienting for a guy like James Comey, because I don't get the sense that Jim Comey has a lot of actual world experience. I mean, I think he's been, doing.
No,
The fact that I think what
I would
bothered him
disagree with
more
that.
was-
I mean, I wouldn't think he's necessarily, 3 a.m., gone to shoot dice in Harlem or
No.
whatever. It's
Right,
I don't think
he's been around,
street.
yeah.
But yeah, as the director of the FBI, you don't get to that. I mean, yes, he's got a academic career. Went to law school, but I think in that position, you're exposed to so many crimes and so much stuff. You're not off the turnip
No,
truck.
it's true. It's true.
No, but I think that the lost my train of thought.
But while you're
think,
catching
I
it,
think he has some murdering gloves, and he's probably
Comey or OJ?
Comey's probably
Because murdering gloves are usually more of a CIA thing.
Well, I'm sure he's drowned somebody in their tub, and all we know is the guy drowned in his tub.
It was just law school frat initiation,
Yeah,
though.
yeah.
Not like under any government supervision.
It was a bad person, though, so it's okay.
Well, I'm see, right, that he drowned.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's okay then. But Tymon, to address the point you were bringing up about everyone, Comey's coming. This is one of the things that, it pains me to say, but I feel like, and we've talked about this on the show before, that we just have to keep reminding people, you got to temper your people, and by people I mean, humans that matter, liberals. But you
mean
got,
real humans?
yeah,
actual
yeah,
humans?
yeah, not
not those others who
whack ass
are
lizard
not human.
people and their subhuman slaves who mask as us. But I think and now I've lost my train of thought. No, people need to temper their excitement. I think people get really excited about the possibility of what's happening, and people, even before Comey testified on Thursday, were talking about impeachment. Afterwards, and this, I don't know if any of you watch Doctor Who, but Nancy
No.
Pelosi took a play like right from the show a couple of seasons ago when after